Welcome back to the Green Means Go channel. It's your host, me, and I'm going to be completely honest. I am going through some serious analysis paralysis lately. It is hard to grow a YouTube channel. It's hard to put in the time, the hours making videos, editing videos, and not seeing a ton of growth, right? But I am determined. I'm going to stick to it. So if you are new here and you like this video, please subscribe. It will help me. Not only mentally, but hopefully financially in the future. Oh, you're going to start a YouTube channel? You want to make money on YouTube in 2023? Don't you know how saturated the market is? Oh my gosh, why don't you go wash cars or mow lawns? Because I love talking about sports. And I'm going to keep at it, and we're going to keep at it, and we're going to keep trying to grow this channel. So if you're sticking around, thank you very much. I have recorded this video 8, 9, 10 times and started over every time. So we're going to roll through it. I'm asking for grace. I'm asking for patience as we make this video because we're starting a new series today. It is called the More About series. We're going to look at every game that was played yesterday, and we're going to say, was this game more about Team A or Team B? And you'll see what that means in just a bit. But before we get started, this candle is out of wax. And I said I would not open up a fall scent until we had 500 subscribers. We're at 471. So if there's 29 people watching this that aren't subscribed, and you could hit subscribe, it would help for a lot of reasons. Not just the candle, but that is the concrete reason. So let's get into the video. The Falcons visited Detroit yesterday, and they came in 2-0. I think this loss by 14 points is more about the Falcons not being that great on offense. Their quarterback, their running back, and their tight end and their wide receiver, okay, their star players at every position are young. Less than 2 years in the league for all of them. I think they have tremendous growth to be had. It is hard to grow without veteran leadership. And it's just a bunch of rookies and second-year players looking around at each other like, hey, how do we do this? And they're like, I don't know, I just got here, right? I think the Falcons will find their way. But I think this game in particular was more about the Falcons being inexperienced than it was about the Lions being good. Are we ready to throw in the towel on the Vikings? Because I thought they would be a legitimate contender this year. I had Super Bowl in the same sentence as them, okay? I was a fool. I was wrong. They're 0-3, which means they have a very slim possibility to make the playoffs. They outplayed the Chargers in some respects. Now, they did let Keenan Allen have 18 catches for 200 yards on them, but they stopped the run. Didn't matter. The Chargers didn't have to run. They could just throw the ball to Keenan Allen every play. This game was more about the Vikings not being able to capitalize, not being able to convert, than it was about the Chargers actually going into Minnesota and winning. Saints had a 17-0 lead at the end of the third quarter. Guys, what? This game is more about the Packers' resilience. They scored 18 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. Jordan Love did what he needed to do. He found the receivers when he needed to find them. They played defense on, albeit Jameis Winston had to come in because Derek Carr got hurt. But the bottom line is this game, this comeback, was certainly more about the Packers, especially given the ability of the Saints defense. Truthfully, guys, I don't know what to say about this one. Texans and Jaguars. I don't know who this game was more about, so I'm not even going to make a statement on this. But the Jacksonville Jaguars need to be worried because you lose to the Chiefs, which is expected to some degree, but then you lose to a division rival by 20 points at home. Now you got to get on a plane in a couple of weeks and go to London. It's just, people were talking about a shoe-in for the AFC South, the Jaguars. Like it was nobody's competition except it was nobody's. It was them. They were going to win it, and now they're sitting at 1-2, and they are not the leader right now because we saw the Colts get it done yesterday. I think this game, if I have to make a decision, was more about the Texans. They came in, they handled their business. C.J. Stroud played well. It's more about the Texans getting it done than it was about the Jaguars looking bad. Don't get mad. This game is more about the Broncos. Now, I know what you're saying. How do you score 70 points and say that it's about the Broncos? Keep in mind, the Broncos lost to the Raiders, lost to the Commanders after having a 21-point lead last week. It doesn't surprise me that they went on the road to Miami and lost by 50. Their defense is just not good. So, yeah, sure, it's a little bit about the Dolphins scoring 70. Fine. But at the end of the day, this was more about the Broncos just being incapable of playing any sort of defense, and we've seen that now for 3 weeks in this season. Browns handled business against the Titans, and this is more about the Titans. Derrick Henry had 20 yards. Let me say that again. Derrick Henry had 20 yards in the game. Get Tannehill out of here, okay? You drafted Levis. You still have Malik Willis in there. Figure it out. Tannehill's not the guy, clearly. Let's get some. I mean, you pick up DeAndre Hopkins. This is bad. The Titans are bad. All right, this game is more about the Titans than it was the Browns. We saw the Commanders last week complete an improbable comeback at the Mile High Stadium. They did so with great defense. They did so with resilience. This game is more about the Bills. Because the Bills, I don't know if you know this, lost the first game to the Jets. And then they've come back and scored over 30 points since. I think that woke them up. That week 1 loss woke them up. And they are ready to run for the Super Bowl. Now, they've got a big game next week, a huge game. Miami comes to town. So we'll see what happens next week. But this game specifically was more about the Bills handling business. This is another tough one. I want to give credit to the Colts. I want to say this win was about the Colts doing their job. But I think it's more about the Ravens just not capitalizing. Opportunities presented themselves. Lamar Jackson, like I want to, like, he is a great football player, but he has a specific sort of offense that he needs to run. And when it's not working, it's not working. He had 100 rushing yards. But when the weather was bad, so I'll give him a pass there. But he did not look ready to play quarterback. He looked ready to play football. Do you see the difference here? I just think when that system works, it works. And when they find themselves in a game like the Colts where it's low scoring or we can shut you down, they look lost. So I think this game was more about the Ravens just not coming through when they needed to than it was about the Colts. But I will give credit to the Colts and their defense and Gardner Minshew and Zach Moss for coming in and getting the job done. This one's tough too because the Jets are trying so hard to stay in games and their defense is allowing that to happen. The Patriots, I think, are a respectable, just even middle-of-the-pack team. I don't know who this was more about. I think this is more... I'm refusing to talk about this. It was 15-10. No, we're not talking about it. Panthers, Seahawks, ignore the bias behind me. This was more about the Seahawks. And here's why. For years, I've watched this team play in close games and be content playing in close games. And yesterday, while it was close at the beginning, they finally look more explosive in the offense. They're finally letting Geno play football. They're not running on first down and second down and then figuring it out third down when it gets here. They look like they want to win. Their defense was motivated. Everybody was into the game. So this game, although it was against a pretty poor competition, although I will say Andy Dalton looked better than Bryce Young. So take that for what you... I mean, 361 yards. Seahawks got things to stir up on the defense. But offensively, they look ready to play and they look good. So this game is more about Seattle finding a rhythm than it was about the Panthers. Sure, it's more about the Chiefs. I don't know what you want me to say. Justin Fields, I don't know. It's more about the Chiefs. This is another one that's tough for me because I want to say it's more about the Cowboys not being ready to play, but I feel like that would be taking away from what the Cardinals were able to do. We've been talking about the Cowboys defense and how great it is, but the Cardinals put up 28 on them. Joshua Dobbs and James Conner, those two geriatrics came in and did this? I don't know. Cowboys weren't ready, but the Cardinals were. So I will say this game is more about the Cardinals being ready to capitalize on situations than it was about the Cowboys. Steelers versus Raiders, this game was more about the Raiders being idiots. I don't know if you watched the game. I don't know if you stayed up to watch what happened. The Raiders had a 4th and 4 at the Steelers' 7-yard line. They were down 8. There was 2 minutes and some change left. And instead of going for it to try to get a touchdown or a first down and then get a 2-point conversion to tie the game up, they decided to kick a field goal. So they cut it to 5 points and then kicked the ball off and had to stop them. And it's like, so instead of going for it and then failing and having to stop them, you take 3 points so that the next possession, if you get one, you need a touchdown. Well, you just were 7 yards away from a touchdown. The commentators, right? Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico were trying to be kind about this. They were trying to be like, "Oh, I get mathematically why." And no, it didn't make any sense. What the Raiders said was, "We can't get a 2-point conversion. We don't believe that if we score a touchdown here, we'll be able to get a 2-point conversion." It didn't matter. They had 3 timeouts. They had a 2-minute warning. They could have gone for this, and they should have gone for this. Horrible coaching, horrible planning. This game was about the Raiders just looking pathetic than it was about the Steelers. Although the Steelers, Kenny Pickett, he might be balling. Tomorrow we will hit the power rankings tier list. That will be out. Make sure you check that out. We will get all the teams situated after this Monday night game. Thank you for coming by, and we'll see you next time.